Good morning, scientists. Happy Monday, April 6th. Your warm-up is to just think through anything that you still need clarifying. So what questions do you have? Maybe you worked on your study guide and there were some things that you didn't understand. Remember, I am going to have office hours today at 1 o'clock, so I would be happy to spend time clearing up anything that is confusing. All right, let's look at your gizmo. You can just go ahead and pause this video to correct anything that maybe you got wrong or incomplete. Okay, for the extension, this was not required. If you did this, you did it completely, you did it thoughtfully, you can get some extra credit depending on how you did. Okay, get your circulatory system study guide out. As we go through this, just like we would do in class, I'm going to go ahead and give you maybe some clarification, maybe some hints how to remember some things. So for example, as you're looking at the first three definitions, plasma, atria, which is this just plural for atrium. If you wrote atrium on your test, that would be fine. But I want you to notice blood pressure, because very often students confuse blood pressure and pulse. You're going to be looking for the word force. Blood pressure is the force that blood is exerting on the walls of the vessels. The pulse is a rhythmic expanding and contracting. That's what the pulse is. So you want to look for this rhythmic expanding and contracting for pulse, and you want to look for force for blood pressure. You can go ahead and check the rest on this page. Remember, for pulmonary circulation, we talked often about, I said, when you hear the word coronary, you think heart. When you hear the word pulmonary, you think lungs. So when you see lungs in the flow of blood, because flow of blood is circulation, but the flow of blood to the heart and the lungs, when you see lungs, you know that's pulmonary. Notice here, oops, I want to go back there. Notice here that it is on red blood cells that you are going to find the antigens. All right, for the short answer and essays, this is something that we've been talking about really in every system. How does all of this work together? There was actually even a question on your heart rate lab about how do the circulatory system, respiratory system, and digestive system work together. So remember, the digestive system, well, first of all, it's all about respiration, because respiration is about getting energy. Your cells need energy. And remember, the formula for that is, it's the glucose from the food we eat There's your digestive system. Oops. Glucose from the food you eat, plus the oxygen from the air you breathe, gives your cells the energy and then gives off water and the waste carbon dioxide. So this is cellular respiration. So now if you look at the digestive system is providing the glucose. The respiratory system is bringing the oxygen and removing the carbon dioxide. And the circulatory system is what's doing the transporting of all of these things to the cells and then away from the cells. For the functions of blood, one thing I just want to caution you that this carries oxygen and carbon dioxide. That is one function. So don't say carries oxygen as one and carries carbon dioxide as two. That's one. The types of circulation. And remember we said circulation is simply blood flow. So these are just where is blood flowing to and from. So again, coronary, think heart. This is, oops. This is to and from the heart tissues itself. Pulmonary. Remember when I say pulmonary, you think lungs. So pulmonary is that flow of blood from the heart to the lungs and back. And then systemic, just think of the whole system. It's to all organs and body tissues, except for heart and lungs because that's covered in the pulmonary circulation. All right, we've already talked about number 4. Why does your heart rate increase when you exercise? Basically, your body cells need more oxygen. They need more oxygen because they need more energy. So you wind up, your nervous system, you could throw that in there. Your nervous system is signaling that you need more oxygen. So signaling your respiratory system to breathe faster so that you bring in more oxygen. Then your heart rate has to increase because it's got to pump all that to those cells faster to take care of the energy that's needed. Hemoglobin is that chemical in red blood cells that carry the oxygen and carbon dioxide. Remember, I said it's kind of like Velcro. All right, so when we're talking about the blood flow in one heart cycle, you just did this activity. In this case, it would be coming from the body cells. I keep doing that. Body cells. And at this point, because it's coming back from the body cells, it would be deoxygenated. So they would come back through the inferior and superior vena cava into the right atrium, through the tricuspid valve, into the right ventricle, through the pulmonary arteries to the lungs. Now that blood is going to the lungs and it's picking up oxygen. So it's now oxygenated. And it's going to come back through the pulmonary veins into the left atrium, through the bicuspid or mitral valve, into the left ventricle, through the aorta, and out to the body cells. You are going to need to be able to label a heart, and I will use actually this diagram. There will not be a word bank. On top of needing to know the different labels of the structures, you're also going to need to know where the blood would be oxygenated and where it would be deoxygenated. So you would need to be able to know that it's coming in here deoxygenated into the right atrium through the tricuspid valve, into the right ventricle, out the pulmonary artery. The lungs would be over here. Then it would come back through the pulmonary veins into the left atrium, through the mitral valve, into the left ventricle, out the aorta. That's kind of a mess, but in the next slide, you can see it a little more clearly and neatly. You can just go ahead and correct any of these or fill them in if you don't have them finished. Okay. This was not on your study guide, but you are going to need to know about the blood types. And just to kind of jog your memory again, remember we started off talking about comparing it to the planet. You heard the story about the surface aliens, and so then we filled out a chart like this. See if you can remember how we filled that chart out. And if you want to check yourself, there you go. We then took the idea of the planets as the types, and we moved into filling in a chart like this. So if you have the red blood cell antigen A, that would be what blood type? And if it's that blood type, then what type of antibody would be in the plasma? And remember, the antigen is on the red blood cell, the antibody is in the plasma. You can see how you did. All right, then we talked about if you have blood type A and you added the anti-A serum, would it agglutinate or would it not? Yes, it would, because remember, anti-A is looking for the A antigen. Anti-B is looking for the B antigen. Anti-RH is looking for the RH antigen. So if it agglutinates, that means it found it. So this would have been agglutinated. This would not have agglutinated. This would have agglutinated, and you would know that that was A positive. Then you tested blood, and these were your agglutination results. So what types would this be? If in sample 1 it agglutinated with anti-A serum, but it did not with anti-B, and it did with anti-RH, what type would that be? Well, because it found an A antigen, that would be type A. There's no B, so it's not AB. And there is RH, so it would be positive. See if you can do the rest. And there are the answers. Also, if you had a situation where you were given different results, agglutination results, would you be able to determine what the blood types are? Give it a try here and see how you do. And then turn the slide or turn the video back on and see how you did. And finally, know what types can donate to what types, and what different types can receive from what types different types can receive from. So maybe check out this, test yourself, and then here are the answers. Okay. Your homework is just to study for your test that is on Wednesday. If you look in Google Classroom, I've listed the different resources that are going to be really valuable in studying. That would be your homework packet, the keynote handouts, the blood type labs, your study guide, and then I have linked 3 different digital review games for you. And also, don't forget that I am going to be available at 1 o'clock if you have any questions or just want to talk through anything that might need clearing up just a bit. Okay, I love you, praying for you, miss you.